All right, we'll do a little how-to on creating your own Delta badges. So here we see two dust doors from Delta Unisaws. These were the same dust doors that also were used on the heavy-duty shapers for many years, sometimes with the badges, sometimes without. They continued doing these Art Deco style badges, if I remember right, well into the 60s. I think it was probably the 70s at some point where they started to get rid of those. And then also the knob style changed at some point here to this different knob style. So I've made several of these replacement badges. A lot of times these are missing, and if you look closely at these, it's anybody's guess which one is original and which one is replacement. They're pretty simple to make. There are some people on eBay that sell them and certainly could do that as well, but I've found a way that works for my purposes pretty well, and that is what I do is I take some aluminum flashing. This is from flashing rolls for house construction, and you can see one side's, in my case, brown and white. It's just paint, and so I just put it on the belt sander real quick and sand off this white paint, and then you end up with aluminum, and you can cut it very easily to any shape or dimensions. And so in this case, this is the replacement I made here. Okay, it looks very similar. And then what I do, once I have it cut to the right dimensions, then this is an image I just printed out on my regular printer from my computer from vintagemachinery.org. They've got a lot of great artwork that people have made for creating different badges. And you can go to the length of getting them specially made and upgrading your printer to print on all sorts of types of paper or different materials. But for me, this is good enough for me. So I just printed out the right size artwork, and then what I do with a pencil on the back is I just trace this with a pencil, push pretty hard, and then I place that down onto my aluminum or sheet metal thing, and I push hard on top with a piece of wood or a pencil that's not sharpened, and then when you lift that up, you'll have an imprint of the lettering. And then what I do is very carefully with a permanent marker with a Sharpie, fine tip Sharpie, I define the letters and the lines. You sometimes use a ruler for these. And then again with a black Sharpie, it comes out pretty good. It's not painted on there, it is Sharpie. But like I said, for my purposes, I've been pretty happy with this. I've done this a lot of times as well with many different color Sharpies. I sort of keep a stash of different color Sharpies that are common on different machine logos. And if there's just a few little nicks or dings, and you can recover those logos pretty well. I'll show you another one here that I did a little work on. When I got this drill press, this R was pretty faded. And so I just took the red Sharpie and colored it back in, and it came out pretty good. Again, it's not, for those purists out there, it might seem a little lame, but it's worked for my purposes pretty well. So then what I do, once I have the replacement badge made, I just drill holes where the holes were originally in the dust door, and then I use rivets, pop rivets. And so you can see, again, it is a little different, but you have to really be looking closely to see the difference. And they didn't use pop rivets, they used grooved pins, I think, to put those in originally. So again, there's an original, there's a replacement for free. All you got to do is print out on a piece of paper the artwork from Vintage Machinery, trace it on the back with a pencil, and rub that impression, and then you'll have the impression of your letters, and then you can use a Sharpie, or maybe there's a better way to do that. I'm sure you could cut out this as well and spray paint it if you wanted to create like a spray paint template. But for me, this has worked pretty well so far. So hope that helps. Okay, just another example of making some reproduction badges. Again, this is how to do them on the cheap. They come out pretty good. So here I've got a piece of flashing. This is just aluminum flashing. And in this case, I just kept it white. I didn't even sand off the paint. And I traced a logo and then pressed hard on the back. Put this on the flashing and did sort of a transfer. Rubbed out with a piece of wood And then that gave me enough of an imprint on here to then use the Sharpie. And that looks pretty similar to those classic Delta badges that were usually red and white. But I went black and white to go with the Unisaw. So I'm making a motor cover to go on this. And this Delta badge is going to go on the motor cover. Here's the motor cover over here. It's all drying with paint. So this is going to go right around there. And so that motor cover will match the Unisaw. So again, it's not perfect. For the purist, might seem a little cheap, but for my purposes, it saves some money, and it's fun to draw them yourself.